I will make my point clear again. I'll just put it at this. Okay, the time is 16:40 on the 2nd of August 2015. As I said before in the last video I made an hour ago, my own breathing thinkings about Islamic State is anyone coming back from fighting overseas, anyone found to be a member of Islamic State, anyone found to be reading the Quran and doing with what they do with the Quran, should not be deported under no way. They should not be sent back to their own country to fight us again, in no way. They should be deported, yes. Deported into a prison of war camp, an internment camp, specifically set up in the centre of Australia, in the arid places, by Australian Army trained, Australian military trained prison officers, and that is where they stay under armed guard until Islamic State is completely and utterly destroyed, outrightly destroyed. We are at war. Let us treat it like war. I'll just ask a couple of questions from history. In the 10th of December 1942, Pearl Harbor was bombed. Or December 11th, 1941, Pearl Harbor was bombed. We were at war with Germany, then suddenly Japan, then suddenly Italy. After Pearl Harbor came Darwin and Townsville. We were under attack by the Japanese, Emperor Tojo. I asked a question: what would have happened during those times if a Japanese, a German, or an Italian sympathiser was found during World War II? They wouldn't have been deported back to the country. No way. They would have been deported straight to Cowra or to Hay or to one of the other set-up prisoner of war places. That is the way we should treat Islamic State. I wouldn't use Cowra, I wouldn't use Hay, I wouldn't use one of the other places because with different technology today, we need a lot more secure places, and the most secure places I can think of is in the centre of Australian deserts, run by military. They won't get out, and allow the Aboriginal trackers, train them up and make them with the military to act as guards and to track anyone who decides to get out. They want to go bombing people, well, they get bombed. That same happens to them as what happens to anyone who all starts bombing. The only rights they get is the same rights as a prisoner inside a top-line hard security jail under armed guard. That is where they stay. Personally, myself, I would deny them the Quran. I'd burn the bloody thing. The Quran has been used as a terrorist book. But maybe that's not advisable, not admissible at the present moment. So maybe if they're alone by themselves in their own groups, locked up in a place like that, we allow books to read, we should do that. The Quran could be one. But that needs to be looked at by the authorities. I would give them a Bible, definitely. I'd give them food. I'd give them water. I'd treat them as we treated, as I said before, the Japanese, the Germans, and the Italians during World War II from 1941, 7th of December 1941, after Pearl Harbor, and Darwin was bombed a few days later, up until at least 1945 when the atomic bombs went off at Hiroshima. This is war. We should mean war. And you do not send war prisoners, your enemy back to its camp to come back and take you. The only place you send your enemy is into a prisoner camp where they can be held accountable for what they've done. And anyone from Islamic State that has been committing real horror, needs to be treated as a prisoner of war who had been breaking the Geneva Convention and doing mass murderer, was treated during the Second World War. A criminal trial, UN-run trial, And that's what happens to them. So Islamic State, you have one major enemy who will come online and speak against you. I say no more, and thank you all for listening to me.